Discover the incredible journey of early American settlers, 6 life-changing winters exposed. Winter's chill crept swiftly across the patchwork fields of Pennsylvania, a silent predator stalking a modest farmhouse. Within its walls, Emma, a widow with hands worn from toil, braced herself against the inevitable storm of hardship. Snow fell like feathers, deepening the silence of her world. With her 2 children, Jack and little Lila, nestled close by the fire, she fought the frost with her resolve. The winters had never been easy, but this season threatened to be the harshest yet. Each flake that danced down felt like a heavy weight on her heart. The frigid air seeped into their bones, and the homestead's meager food stores dwindled to nothing. Yet, Emma rallied her children, their eyes bright with hope, even as despair knocked quietly at the door. They gathered what firewood they could, her determination echoing in every crackle of the flames as she whispered tales of resilient settlers, reminding them of their own grit. "We are survivors," she told them fiercely, "and we will make it through this winter." As the frost tightened its grip, Jack began to dream. He watched his mother pour her soul into baking bread, creating warmth and comfort, and he imagined himself pushing boundaries beyond the confines of their land. Tensions rose, simmering beneath the surface as he wrestled with a longing for adventure that threatened to pull him away from the only life he had ever known. Little Lila clung to his side, innocent and unaware, filling the gaps in Emma's heart with giggles and the hopeful light of childhood. Before Emma could voice her own fears, an unexpected proposal changed everything. An invitation from a wealthy merchant in town promising a glimmer of prosperity. "You have a gift for baking," he said, with eyes glittering like the cold winter stars. "Think of the market." For a fleeting moment, joy radiated through Emma. Might this be the answer they were all searching for? But as quickly as it came, doubt lashed at her heart. Selling her goods could offer them warmth, but at what cost? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The market was alive with color and laughter, a swirling tide of humanity that pulled Emma in. She stood, a small figure in the midst of glory-rich fabrics, tempting aromas, and the buzz of conversations flew by her ears. Yet, every judgmental glance shot her way made her feel like a ghost, haunting the fringes of something beautiful yet unattainable. Her heart raced, weighing her dreams against that familiar, raw vulnerability. Would they ever truly fit in? Could she really leave her family behind in pursuit of a fleeting hope? With each passing winter, the weight of expectation grew heavier, feelers of hope entwined with the fear of rejection and loneliness. Emma sensed a crossroads looming ahead. Love, sacrifice, and ambition swirled together under one roof, the chill of winter forcing them closer, a family bound by survival and an unshakable will. As she stared into the flames, she realized one truth: the path to their American dream demanded sacrifices, and it was now, in the darkest nights, she would have to decide, what shackles would she break, and what bonds would she never forsake. In the days that followed, the stark realities of winter pressed harder on Emma's shoulders. The invitation from the merchant lingered in her mind like the scent of freshly baked bread, sweet, tempting, and ultimately painful. Each moment seemed to hammer home the struggles of the days before. With each dwindling sack of flour, her resolve to protect her family from the biting cold of hunger deepened. Sitting before the fire, she watched Jack scribble drawings on a scrap of paper. His sketches depicted grand adventures and far-off lands, a world he longed to explore beyond the fields of their small farm. Lila, in her innocence, giggled as she tried to chase the flickering shadows cast by the flames. Emma's heart swelled with love but also with worry. The future felt uncertain, yet each day closed in on her like the darkening sky. One afternoon, just as the sun dipped low in the horizon, casting an orange glow across the snow, Emma ventured into town with a heavy basket. The snow crunched beneath her feet, each step dragging her closer to the prospect of change. She clutched the list of items she was prepared to barter: flour, bits of jerky, and just enough sugar to sweeten the lives they had lived with bitterness. As she stepped into the hustle of the market, the commotion surged around her. The laughter and chatter of townsfolk rang against the frozen silence of her heart. She could see the merchant, a figure in a fine wool coat, moving seamlessly through the crowd, but instead of following him, she hesitated. What was she truly seeking here? The ghost of a future entwined with her past, or a way to build something new? Before she could find her courage, a shriek cut through the market. Lila had ventured too close to the fountain, slipping on the slick stones. Emma's heart leapt into her throat, and she rushed toward her child, pushing past startled shoppers. The world around her faded to a blur, and when she reached Lila, the little girl lay there, startled but unharmed, her laughter mingling with Emma's sigh of relief. As the two embraced, Emma felt a burgeoning sense of community. Shoppers crowded around, offering warmth and care. A kind stranger handed Lila a bright red scarf, a gift that made her eyes sparkle. It was then that Emma recognized the strength found in connection, the shared struggles of neighbors that eased loneliness. "See, Mama," Jack said, tugging at her sleeve as she knelt by Lila. "Even in the winter, people help each other. They share." Those words hung in the air, echoing her own desires for a life filled with warmth and connection. But with every passing moment, the fleeting image of a life beyond their farm crept back into her mind. Would their journey lead them to a future built on community or ambition? The warmth of the market started to fade as dusk turned to twilight. As she turned to leave, Emma caught sight of the merchant again. He met her gaze, an invitation in his eyes that promised gold but perhaps required something more. With the weight of possibility on her shoulders, Emma stood at the precipice of choice, the chill of winter swirling around her. The question loomed larger: would the call of prosperity prove stronger than the bonds of home? As she looked back at Jack and Lila, bubbles of hope and fear swirled within her. The flames of ambition flickered softly, igniting an internal struggle that would challenge everything she believed about family and sacrifice. And as the dark night settled over Pennsylvania, a choice loomed ahead, one that would change their lives forever. What would the dawn bring? The next morning dawned gray and quiet, the clouds hanging low like a weight pressing down on the earth. Emma stirred before the sun, her mind racing. The merchant's gaze haunted her dreams. What if she did visit him today? What would it mean for her family? Would she find a way to pull them from the brink of despair? She slipped out of bed, careful not to wake Lila, still bundled in their warm blankets. Jack, however, was already awake, his eager eyes bright as he peered at her from across the small room. "Are we going to see the man?" he asked, bouncing slightly on the edge of his bed. Emma sighed, uncertain. "Not just yet, sweetheart. We have to prepare." They worked together to make breakfast, the smell of sizzling bacon dancing through the chilly air. Jack cracked eggs, his small hands awkward but determined. Lila soon joined them, her tangled hair framing her face like a nest of golden straw. The morning light caught her smile, and for a moment, all worries faded. After breakfast, Emma took a deep breath. There was no escaping the need to venture into town. She gathered her courage, dressed in her warmest coat, and clutched the basket as if it were a lifeline. Jack and Lila followed her closely, their innocent chatter a comforting soundtrack to the impending uncertainty. As they made their way to the market, the chill wind bit at Emma's cheeks. The market was alive again, though the bustling crowds felt like an endless wave crashing against her resolve. She spotted the merchant right away, his presence as imposing as before, but this time there was a flicker of something different in her heart, a longing mixed with determination. "Stay close," Emma instructed her children, her eyes locked onto the merchant. Jack nodded, squeezing Lila's hand tightly as they stepped forward. The merchant was evaluating the goods laid before him: furs, fruits, and barrels of honey. A small part of Emma wanted to turn back, to retreat into the warmth of home and the safety of familiarity, but another part urged her forward. "Excuse me," she said, her voice almost lost amid the din. The merchant turned, raising an eyebrow. His lips curled into a sly smile as he took in the sight of her, a poor farmer's wife, standing before him with resolve blazing in her eyes. "What can I do for you?" he asked, his tone rich with curiosity. "I have some items to barter," she replied, her voice clearer now, though it trembled slightly. "I need supplies for my family." His gaze flickered down to the basket, then back to her, assessing. "And what do you offer, exactly?" Emma opened her basket, revealing the flour, jerky, and sugar. "I know these aren't what you usually deal in, but they can still be of use. We just need help to get through the winter." He pondered her proposition, the silence stretching uncomfortably between them. Emma's heart thudded, she felt the eyes of the crowd surrounding her, whispers spilling through the air. The moment stretched on, and she could feel her stomach knotting with effort. Suddenly, Jack tugged on her coat. "Mama, can we trust him?" His question was innocent, but the weight of it pressed harder on Emma's conscience. She glanced down at him, searching for the right words. "We have to take a chance sometimes, Jack. We do it for each other." Before she could say more, the merchant's lips twisted into a grin, jarring Emma back to the moment. "An interesting offer, indeed. Let us talk trade," he said, his voice smooth and coaxing. Emma felt a rush of triumph and anxiety all at once. This could be the answer to their prayers or just another trap cloaked in gold. As the merchant leaned closer, an idea sparking in his eyes, Emma's breath caught. What would they lose if she said yes? As temptations unfolded around her, she realized she stood not just at a market but at the crossroads of hope and sacrifice. The choice would shape not only her family's future but her very soul. There, amid the sounds of the market, Emma faced a truth she hadn't expected: some doors offer pathways while others conceal dangers. She would have to decide quickly. And as she caught Jack's hopeful eyes, a new question emerged: how would she know what choice to make when the stakes felt so impossibly high? Emma's heart raced as the merchant studied her goods. Was he merely amused, or did he see potential in her offerings? She sensed Jack's small hand tighten around her coat, his innocent intuition chasing the frayed edges of her resolve. "Let us be practical here." The merchant leaned against a nearby stall, arms crossed in a way that suggested he was in control. "If you're looking for supplies to last the winter, your items won't cut it. What else do you have?" Inside Emma, a storm of doubt clashed with her hope. I have skills. I can sew, farm, cook, and I'll work, do what you need. Anything in exchange for what my family requires." Her voice held more strength now that he regarded her with narrowed eyes, pale fingers drumming against his chin. "Skills don't feed mouths. I can pay you in goods, but it won't be easy. What if I asked for something more?" Heat flooded Emma's cheeks. She swallowed hard, trying to read the man's intentions that felt shrouded behind his shifty manner. "You mean labor? The markets need someone to transport goods. Some heavy lifting." "It's a fair trade," he replied, the smile still etched on his face but darker now. Jack's grip on her coat shifted to a worried pull. "Mama, I don't like this." His voice trembled, concern etched across his small features. "Jack, we have to consider." "No," he interjected, stepping closer to Lila, who stood quietly with wide eyes. "What if he's tricking us? What if he doesn't give us anything?" Her heart ached. The trust of her children was a fragile thing. Emma turned to whisper gently, "Sweetheart, sometimes we must take risks to make a better future. Can you understand that?" Jack's tiny voice wavered. "But what if it makes things worse?" A silence hung in the air, thick with anxiety. The merchant shifted impatiently, tapping his foot. "Well?" he implored, waiting for her answer. Emma's gaze drifted back to the overflowing stalls, to families engaged in easy chatter, their smiles distant memories of what her family once enjoyed. She longed to provide that joy for her children again, but at what cost? What price would she pay for supplies, or worse yet, for the chance that he might not keep his word. Are we all out of options? She pondered, her heart heavy with indecision. She thought of her family, of Lila's laughter, of the spring morning spent planting seeds, of Jack's stories full of adventure. What if, she began, voice trembling at the edges, what if I take your offer, but we negotiate? I want to return to my family with what matters most first. The merchant seemed intrigued, his interest flickering. And what might that be? I want supplies we can trust. Something tangible. Something that lasts, she replied, trying to secure this bond, trying to hook him with her own needs. He smirked, a subtle acknowledgement that she had captured his attention. You're negotiable, I like that. We'll see if you're up for the challenge. But understand this, my kindness has limits. Thank you, she whispered, though her heart beat wildly from the risk. The atmosphere shifted, the dread still thick but with threads of hope weaving through. But as she stood there, reality pressed down upon her. What if he truly was a wolf beneath the sheep's clothing? Bracing herself against that thought, Emma steeled her resolve. Let us discuss terms then, she said, and with those words, she felt herself taking a step into a darker world she couldn't yet see. As their conversation flowed, Jack's worried eyes mirrored her uncertainty. Lila clung to her side, oblivious to the growing stakes. Would their moment of courage turn into a choice that changed everything? And as they stood there in the marketplace, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that a storm was brewing, and when the clouds broke it would unleash a deluge. What would happen next, and would they be ready for it? Emma felt the weight of every moment as she stood toe-to-toe with the merchant. His eyes glimmered with a knowing impatience, as if he could taste the desperation in the air. She drew a deep breath, focusing on the warmth of Jack's hand. What do you need me to do first? She asked, her voice steadier than she felt. The merchant's grin widened like a cat spotting a mouse. For starters, I need someone to help unload supplies from the wagons. Then, you'll help organize the goods for the market. A few hours of that, and you'll earn yourself a bit to take home. Jack's grip tightened once again, a silent petition for her to reconsider. Emma's heart cringed at the thought of him being right. Yet, she couldn't let fear eclipse their plight. How soon do we start? He waved a hand dismissively, as though she were overanxious. Tomorrow at dawn. You'll meet me here. If you're late, the deal's off. Understand? Fine, she replied, though it felt like swallowing glass. The merchant turned to leave, the stir of his heavy coat brushing against the stands behind him. And remember, he called back over his shoulder, deliver what I expect, and you'll find your family well cared for this winter. Fail, and we may all find ourselves cold. A chill danced down Emma's spine. The warning echoed in her mind, a menacing whisper that gnawed at her resolve. Jack shifted at her side, clearly torn between trust in his mother and the unknown path ahead. Can we really trust him? Jack asked quietly, his small face clouded with worry. Emma knelt beside him, wrapping her arms around his tiny shoulders. I can't know for sure, sweetheart. But we need hope, don't we? We have to try. For Lila, for all of us. Jack looked into her eyes, searching for reassurance. She offered him a smile, though it felt fragile and thin. Lila bounced on her feet, oblivious to the turmoil. Are we really going to help him? The little girl's voice was bright and filled with innocence, her heart twisted. The weight of their survival pressed heavily on her, a constant reminder of the stakes involved. Yes, darling. We're going to do what we can for you both. They walked home under the evening sky, a palette of reds and purples swirling above. The air felt cold but brisk. Each step echoed her uncertainties, casting shadows of doubt over her mind. Once home, Emma gathered what little she had, a worn but well-loved quilt for warmth, preserved jars of food stored carefully over the year. There wouldn't be room for pretense or pride, not when the survival of her family depended on her willingness to face the unknown. As the night wore on, Emma tucked Lila into bed, humming softly until her daughter drifted off, her little chest rising and falling peacefully. But Jack remained wide awake, the tension still crackling between them. "Will you be okay tomorrow?" he asked, blinking up at her with concern pooling in his eyes. "I'll be all right. Just have to stay strong, okay?" she replied, trying to soothe the worry within herself as much as him. Jack nodded slowly, still unsure. Emma smoothed his hair. "Trust in tomorrow, Jack. We're in it together." Late that night, as she lay beneath the thin blankets, sleep eluded her. She thought of the market, the weight of goods, and the merchant's sharp gaze. If she faltered, if she failed this unsteady bargain, the impact could ripple through their lives in ways she couldn't yet fathom. Morning light crept in through the cracks of her small home, catching her eyes and pulling her reluctantly into a new day. But with dawn came the looming reality of her deal. What was it she would discover, buried beneath the demands of a man who promised warmth but served cold truths? With each tick of her heartbeat, she wondered if today would lead them back to safety or plunge them deeper into peril. The sun peeked through the window, casting a warm glow over the small room. Emma rubbed the sleep from her eyes, but the weight of yesterday's events clung to her like a shadow. As she sat up, the light made her feel both hopeful and heavy-hearted, a constant tug-of-war between optimism and dread. "Emma?" Jack's soft voice broke through the morning silence, pulling her from her thoughts. He was still in bed, clutching a ragged stuffed bear. "Is it morning already?" "Yes, love," she replied, forcing a smile despite her flaring nerves. "We have a big day ahead of us." "Do we have to go?" Jack's eyes, wide and uncertain, mirrored the fear that churned in Emma's stomach. She wanted to tell him everything would be all right, that the merchant was just a simple man trying to make a living, like them. Instead, she nodded gently, "We do." Her heart sank at the thought of dragging her son into an uncertain outcome, but their family needed the chance for a better future. As they dressed, Lila roused, stretching like a lazy cat before bouncing out of bed. "Are we going to get snacks today?" she chirped, blissfully unaware of the gravity of their mission. Emma couldn't help but smile at her little girl, fascinated by the world around her. "Maybe something special," she said, brushing a lock of hair from Lila's face. After a hurried breakfast of whatever scraps they could muster, they made their way to the market. The streets bustled with life. Laughter and chatter filled the air, a stark contrast to the turmoil swirling in Emma's mind. She felt the warmth of the morning sun against her skin, but the chill of uncertainty tightened around her heart. When they arrived at the market, it was more overwhelming than she had anticipated. Wagons filled with colorful fruits and vegetables crowded the area, while merchants hollered at potential buyers. The smell of fresh bread and spiced foods danced through the air, yet it did little to ease her worries. "Stay close, okay?" Emma instructed Jack and Lila, their small figures dwarfed by the hustle and flow of the crowd. "I can help," Jack chimed, trying to sound brave. Emma forced her nerves aside as she scanned the crowd. There he was, the merchant, standing most confidently at one of the larger stalls, supervising the unloading of crates. His demeanor exuded authority and impatience, and Emma felt a shiver run down her spine. As she approached, her heart raced. The merchant glanced over and his lips curled into that disarming smile. "You're right on time," he said, eyes gleaming. She offered a weak nod, as if the gesture alone would reassure her that she belonged here, that they would be okay. "Get started," he ordered, gesturing toward the wagons, filled with parcels waiting to be unloaded. The first few hours passed in a blur of movement. Heavy crates scraped against her palms, and her back ached as she hoisted them. Jack and Lila helped where they could, the innocent laughter of Lila breaking through the binding stress. Emma couldn't let herself dwell. She needed to stay focused. With every crate they unloaded, a part of her felt lighter, yet deeper within, the tension vied for space. The gruff merchant barked orders, and with each command, she felt the stakes rise. She could sense Jack wincing with every shout, but she pressed on, time slipping like sand through her fingers. Finally, they finished, and Emma wiped the sweat from her brow. The merchant inspected their work, his expression inscrutable. "Not bad. Could use a little more urgency next time," he declared, his tone matter-of-fact. Emma's heart plummeted. What did he want from them? Disappointment crashed over her, but then, he leaned in closer. "You've earned some coin today. And if you're interested, there may be more work." She felt Jack shift anxiously beside her. The uncertainty of it all weighed heavier than before. "What kind of work?" she ventured, trying to find a sliver of clarity amid the chaos. "Let's just say, if you're willing to dig a little deeper, you might uncover more than you expected," he replied cryptically, a hint of something potent hidden in his gaze. Emma's stomach twisted. Was this offer a glimmer of hope or another trap? The answer lay hidden behind the merchant's teasing smile. In that moment, Emma understood this was about more than just survival. It was a doorway to something vast and unknown. As she glanced at Jack, she wondered, was she prepared to step inside, knowing each choice could lead them closer to safety or further into darkness? And as the sun began its descent, she knew one thing for certain: the choices that lay ahead would test them in ways she couldn't yet imagine. Emma took a deep breath, her mind swirling with possibilities. What did the merchant mean by digging deeper? As she stood there, uncertainty hung thick around her like a fog. Jack's small hand slipped into hers, his warmth giving her a sliver of strength. She glanced down at his face, trying to read the mixture of hope and apprehension in his bright eyes. "Mom?" Jack whispered, his voice reaching above the bustling noise. What did he mean? I think it means there might be more work for us, Jack. We just need to be careful." Her voice was steadier than she felt. She couldn't tell him the truth that trusting this man could lead them astray. They had so little left to lose. Feeling the weight of his gaze, she decided to accept the merchant's offer. "What do we need to do?" she asked, trying to sound confident. The merchant chuckled softly, as if amused by the certainty of her question. "Meet me at dusk," he said, "and make sure you come alone." His eyes gleamed with a mixture of something dark and intriguing. "You already have a taste of what's possible." An unsettling thrill shot through Emma. "Alone?" "Of course. Wouldn't he want to alarm anyone, would we?" His smirk deepened, and she felt a chill dance along her spine. The finality of his words settled heavily in her mind, but she forced herself to nod, maintaining the image of a strong mother. As they turned to leave, her heart raced. She didn't want to leave Jack and Lila behind, but the pull of mystery was impossible to ignore. Lila, busy collecting stones from the market floor, chattered happily about the snacks she hoped to get. Innocence was shining through her words, a sharp contrast to the shadows now looming over Emma's thoughts. "Let's find something to eat first," Emma suggested. The urgency in her voice masked the worry clawing at her insides. They walked hand in hand, each step resonating with her conflicting emotions. Jack tugged at her arm as they approached a stand selling bread. "Can we get some of those sweet rolls?" "Sure, but only if they have enough," Emma replied, but it was a hollow promise. She knew their meager earnings wouldn't stretch far enough. After settling on a few scraps of bread, Emma's heart swelled with gratitude watching her children feast on their small treat. The innocent joy that spread across Lila's face filled her with warmth, however fleeting. Once they made their way home, the sun dipped low in the sky, casting long shadows over the streets. Emma's mind churned with the decision she had to make. Should she heed the merchant's summons? Risk the safety of her family for a chance to escape their grim reality? As Lila played with her stuffed bear and Jack doodled in the dirt with a stick, Emma felt the weight of her choices crushing down on her spirit. Each second ticked by, each decision lingering like a tightrope strung precariously over a dark abyss. When the sun finally dipped below the horizon, Emma stood at the door, her heart pounding. She cast a last glance back at her children, who were lost in their own world of laughter and playfulness. A lump formed in her throat. Could she really do this, leave them behind for a single meeting with a man she hardly knew? Rejecting the thought of leaving, she took a tentative step outside, a mixture of fear and exhilaration surging through her veins. She was stepping into uncharted territory, and something deep inside whispered that whatever lay ahead could change everything. As she trudged toward the market, her heart beat a frantic rhythm. It wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about hope, about facing the unknown, about discovering who she might become. But what awaited her at the merchant's stall? Would he show her a way out of their struggles, or would this plunge her deeper into darkness? With every step, she realized this was just the beginning of an incredible journey waiting to unfold. The market was quiet now, shadows dancing under the flickering lanterns swaying gently in the evening breeze. Emma's breath came in short gasps as she navigated through the narrow alleys, each twist and turn amplifying the weight of her decision. Could she trust the merchant? As she approached the familiar stall, hesitation washed over her again. The merchant stood waiting, leaning against the wooden structure, his silhouette framed by the golden light of a nearby lantern. He looked almost like a statue, unmoving but full of secrets. Emma felt a mixture of thrill and dread creeping up her spine. She was about to cross a line. "Good, you came," he said, his voice smooth yet laced with an undertone that hinted at danger. "I expected you might balk at the idea." Emma forced a smile, trying to mask her nerves. "What is it you wanted to show me?" "You're eager," he remarked, pushing off the stall and stepping closer. The charm of his demeanor was confusing. "But let us talk about your family first. It's a tightrope you walk, isn't it? Balancing your dreams with their safety." A shiver ran through her. How did he know? "What do you want from me?" Instead of answering, he gestured toward a stack of crates behind him. "The truth resides under the surface, quite literally. This village holds much more than meets the eye. But you must be ready to explore its hidden layers." His words filled Emma with uneasy excitement. "Hidden layers?" He nodded, stepping aside to reveal a trapdoor, cleverly concealed among the crates. "Your reality is shaped by what you can see and touch, but only you can uncover more. If you want change, you must be willing to dig figuratively and literally." Emma's heart raced. Next to his confident poise, she felt fragile, like a leaf trembling in the wind. Turning back to the path she had walked to get here, she envisioned Jack and Lila, their faces painted with love and innocence. Was it worth exposing them to what lay beneath? Suddenly, the merchant pulled something from inside his coat, a small, ornate key. It glinted under the lantern's light, catching her attention. "This key opens doors, Emma, beyond the physical. But the question remains, are you ready to wield it?" "Wield it?" she echoed, bewildered. "What do you mean?" Carefully, and with intention. His expression shifted, turning serious. "Once you commit to this path, there's no turning back. Are you ready to risk everything, your family, your life, your understanding of the world, for a chance to rewrite your narrative?" Her heart skipped. The thought of comfort in the familiar, the safety of her small home, all seemed to hang in the balance as she looked into the merchant's enigmatic eyes. A mix of fear and hope washed over her like a wave, eroding the barriers built by caution and absence of trust. She opened her mouth to respond, but no words came. Could she embrace the opportunity he laid before her? In that moment of silence, a distant sound intruded, almost ghost-like in the warm night air. A child's laughter trailed down the alley, reminding her of all she held dear. It was Jack, her brave boy, innocent and bright, just beyond the reach of this moment tangled in shadow. "Your answer, Emma," the merchant prompted, his voice firm yet smooth. "What will it be?" Her heart raced as she stood on the precipice of an unknown path, the air thick with possibilities. What awaited her here could change not just her life but the lives of those she held most dear. Emma took a step closer, her hand trembling as she reached for the key dangling in the merchant's hand. Would she choose to unlock the mysteries that lay beneath her feet? Would she dare to grasp the future, no matter the cost? But as she felt the cool metal against her palm, a shattering realization struck her: there was no certainty in this world, only faith in what lay ahead. And that faith could either lead to salvation or destruction. What awaited her on this path remained unseen, but as the key felt heavy in her grasp, she understood one undeniable truth: the moment of truth had arrived. What now? Emma's fingers curled around the key like a lifeline, her heart pounding in her chest. The merchant watched her with an unsettling intensity, as if he could read the conflict raging inside her. She felt like a ship caught in a storm, turbulent, restless, yearning for direction. "What if I say yes?" she asked, her voice steadier than she felt. "What happens next?" The merchant's lips curved into a knowing smile. "Then you take the first step into a world that's been hidden from you. It's not just about what you'll find beneath the surface, Emma. It's about what you'll discover within yourself." Tears stung her eyes. She thought of Jack and Lila, their laughter, their dreams. She didn't just want to change her life, she wanted to protect theirs. Yet, deep down, a spark of adventure ignited. The thrill of possibility was dizzying. "Okay," she breathed, the word almost foreign as it left her lips. "I'll do it." He nodded slowly, a glimmer of approval in his gaze. "Good. The journey begins with trust. Trust in yourself, and trust in the unknown. Follow me." With that, he turned and lifted the trapdoor, revealing a set of narrow stairs leading down into darkness. The faint scent of earth and something ancient floated up to meet her, sending a chill down her spine. She hesitated, eyes darting between the darkness and the merchant's unwavering gaze. "Every choice has weight," he reminded her, his voice echoing slightly as if the shadows were listening. "But right now, your family is safe. Take this moment to uncover what lies within you." With a resolve she barely understood, Emma stepped onto the first step. The wood creaked under her weight, but she pressed on. The cool air rushed up, wrapping around her like a shroud, and she felt the thrill of stepping into the unknown. Her heart raced as she descended, the light from the lantern dimmed, and she felt her surroundings morph into an underground world. The space widened, revealing walls etched with symbols, reminders of the village's long-past histories. Shadows danced across the carvings, igniting a sense of mystery. This wasn't just a basement, it felt like a gateway. "What is all this?" she whispered, awestruck. The merchant stepped close, gesturing towards the walls. "These stories are woven into the very fabric of your home. They speak of struggles, victories, and paths that intertwine fate with choice." Emma traced her fingers along the etched patterns, feeling flutters of hope and despair mingle within her. She thought of the lives before her, the trials they faced. If they could endure and emerge with stories, then maybe she could too. "What do I do with this?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Uncover the secrets, but more importantly, uncover yourself. You possess a strength you haven't even tapped into yet." But deep within her, doubt lingered. Could she really reshape her own story? What if unlocking these secrets meant unveiling truths she wasn't prepared for? A low rumble echoed through the chamber, causing her to jump. The ground seemed to shift beneath her feet. The merchant turned, his expression darkening. "We must move quickly. Change doesn't wait for anyone. Follow closely." Emma quickened her steps as they ventured deeper, the air thick with anticipation and the weight of history. Every corner held potential. Was she ready for what was to come? As they moved further into the unknown, a distant sound caught her ear, raised voices, urgent and fearful. Emma's heart sank. Voices from above? "Where are we going?" she asked, fear creeping back in. "What's happening?" His eyes flicked back to hers, filled with a mix of excitement and caution. "To where your story truly begins." But just as that promise lingered in the air, an unsettling thought struck her. Was it her story she was about to uncover, or something far darker? Emma's journey into the depths had just begun, and with it, the shadows of her past hovered ever closer. What could she face there? What awaited her on this path? As they moved deeper into the darkness, the air thickened with mystery and a hint of danger. Emma's heart raced as she followed the merchant through twisting passageways, guided only by faint echoes and her burning desire to protect her family. Shadows danced along the walls, feeding her unease but also sparking a fierce determination with each step. "What do you mean by my story?" she asked, the words trembling on her lips. The merchant chuckled, but it wasn't a comforting sound. "You will see, Emma. Everyone's story is intertwined with those who came before them and those who will come after. History has a way of shaping destiny, doesn't it?" In the dim light, she caught glimpses of etched rune stories of trials, triumphs, and long-lost families. She began to realize that they weren't just about the village, they were echoes of her own heart, whispers of resilience, woven together in a rich tapestry of lives lived. A swell of hope began to fill her as she understood their significance. She was a part of this legacy. "What if I'm not strong enough?" she asked quietly, trembling at her vulnerability. "You're already stronger than you know," he replied, his voice low but confident. "Facing your fears is the first step in reclaiming what is yours." She took a deep breath, steadying her racing heart. As they turned a corner, the passage opened up into a cavernous space. In the center, an ancient well stood, its surface shimmering like a dark mirror. Emma felt drawn to it, magnetic. She approached cautiously, peering into its depths. "What lies below?" she whispered. "Everything you seek," the merchant replied, his tone serious. "And everything you fear. To take control of your narrative, you must face it. Will you dare to look within?" Her pulse quickened again. The moment was dizzying. She thought of her children, Jack's innocent joy, Lila's playful laughter. All she ever wanted was to shield them from pain. But the weight of their struggles pressed down, urging her to unravel the truth hidden within the well. "Yes," she whispered, now steady with determination. "I will." "Then take the plunge, Emma," the merchant encouraged, his eyes shining with an unsettling thrill. "Only through confrontation can you truly emerge." With that, Emma leaned forward, clasping the edges of the stones. She closed her eyes, taking a deep breath, and allowed herself to fall into the depths of the well, plunging into shadows, flashes of her past unfurling like a tumultuous storm. Memories flickered ephemerally, her childhood laughter, the warmth of her mother's embrace, the ache of loss as her husband had passed away, leaving them in cold grasp of despair. And then, the golden threads of hope began to weave through these shadows, her resolve to fight, to dream, to be a beacon for her children. With each delicate memory, she felt the chains of doubt begin to shake loose. The love she held for Jack and Lila brightened the darkness, illuminated by the realization that she had a choice. She burst from the well, splashing back into the light, gasping for air. The merchant watched her with curiosity and admiration. "You did it, Emma. You faced your fears." Heart racing, she stared at him. "But what do I do now?" "Now, you use that strength to reshape your life. To carve a path for your family. You are the architect of tomorrow." As they emerged from the underground cavern, Emma realized that the complexities of her journey didn't lie only in the choices she needed to make but in the hope she could now carry forward. The merchant paused at the entrance, a grin curling at his lips. "Remember, Emma, every moment is an opportunity. Seize the day." As she stepped into the moonlit market again, the chill of winter seemed to dissipate. She rushed home, heart alight. Jack and Lila's laughter rang in her ears, and she understood she would forge ahead, facing whatever threats and challenges lay before them. Tomorrow would be the first step of a new chapter. They would be all right. Together, they would find their place. As she approached the small farmhouse, her heart swelled with love, hope, and an unyielding resolve. The world shimmered with possibility. In that moment, she knew her purpose: to create a home filled with warmth, laughter, and resilience. With tears of joy, she embraced her children, and they danced together in the fading light, the strength of their bond fierce and unbreakable. This was at the beginning of their incredible journey. To all of you reading this transformation is not just a story, it's a call to action. You need to subscribe now so that you don't miss any exclusive stories coming your way. This is the moment to show your support. Hit that like button now to feed the algorithm and help us reach more hearts. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending, let us know how it impacted you. And for goodness sake, share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share and spread the message. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.